Alrighty, guys. We took a week off last week because Thanksgiving holiday, and uh, kind of had some plans that we couldn't change, uh, but we had sports didn't stop, guys. Graceland won. Ashland made a trip to Louisville. I picked them to go all the way to Kroger Field. Um, well, I was even more encouraged by what I saw when Cal played Paducah Tilly, because I thought, you know what, if they play the way they do against Paducah, Ashland's got a legit chance to win this game. Because at the time during that week, I was saying, hey guys, Cal peaked during the middle of the season. They haven't been the same team since then. Ashland went down there and played midseason Cal, and there's nothing to hang your head about. There ain't a team around here that would beat them. So I mean, unfortunately, Ashland's season would come to an end. Graceland took care of Holy Cross. Pikeville took care of Newport Central Catholic, and most of the time, most of the favorites won. One game that we didn't talk about because we didn't have a show was Bryan Station beating Trinity down there. That was a big upset down there. Uh, but Louisville Male finds their way back in the 6A title game. No matter what, it seems like they're always there. Uh, 5A, boys, let me tell you something. Frederick Douglass was given a game on Friday night. I think the final was 14-2. Um, and then Corbin's going to go for their first state championship in a while. Of course, the typical contenders in 2A, Beechwood and Mayfield, you wouldn't expect anything different. But out of all those state championship games, 1A is the one that kind of is intriguing the most, and not just around here, throughout the state. So, we're going to break all those down. Of course, Sean couldn't make it tonight. He had some arrangements that he had to take care of. We had basketball yesterday, guys. I was down at East Carter and uh, got to see East Carter Raiders basketball team for the first time. Cole Brammer squad. Guys, they're very scrappy. They're very scrappy. They're very good defensively. And on top of that, they've got a big in Connor Skaggs who can hit three-point shots. That is something, a luxury that I don't think anybody else in the area has right now, do they? Not that I've seen. Huh? Let me tell you something. And then, you thought coming into the season, as much hype as Morgan County got, that they were going to win that district. Nobody's even going to compete with them. They go down to Lawrence County and lose. I don't know how good Lawrence County is. They're usually pretty good, but still. Who? Yeah, exactly. And Lawrence still won. Tough place to play down there, though. Either way, uh, there's a rivalry game. Two of them, matter of fact. We'll get to the first one first, and that is Kentucky and Louisville. Um, Kentucky come in kind of limping into the game. Got both linebackers back. Jones and Square were in the at the linebacker roles. First time both of them been together since I believe Ole Miss. Been that long, and boy, you could tell a huge difference. Kentucky really. I know Louisville made a run there at the end, but it just never felt like Louisville was ever a threat. You seen Louisville trying to change things up. They put Cunningham in there for a while, and what does he do? Typical Cunningham things, and turns the ball over, and throws an interception, and then they put the starter back in there, and they just really could never get it going against a Kentucky team who's just been everything but consistent this year. And sticking with Kentucky, more news: fire their special teams running back coach, which I didn't know they had a special teams coach. I think it was just their special teams coordinator, which boys, they needed to. And then offensive coordinator is also fired, which uh, I think everybody knew that was coming. Well, your best pass play can't be slipping tight ends underneath linebackers in the SEC that are faster than your tight ends. So and I'm not blaming it all on him. Kentucky's offensive line was not great this year, guys. I'm not blaming. I think that he felt like that there was only a few plays that he could call comfortably because he knew Will wouldn't have enough time, and he didn't want to get Will hurt. style, but you have to have the guys. Michigan has the guys. If you don't have the guys, you can't run a pro style. That's just the way it is, guys. You have to have a good offensive line to run a pro style, and if you don't, it's not effective. Of course, there was a game up in the Horseshoe. Coach, did you go to that game?
No, I didn't go.
He didn't go to the game. Ohio State came in. I believe they were 9.5 point
Similar to
favorite.
the game last season. Really.
It was.
Played out pretty much like they did last year.
But you got to feel some of the pain that us Kentucky fans have kind of felt a few times on Saturday afternoons this year. That was and I'm not going to put Ryan Day on the hot seat, but I can tell you right now, losing to Michigan back-to-back years the way they did, that is not going to be tolerated in Columbus.
It really not. But here again, also you got a new defense coordinator Knowles, and you have Ryan Day as the off. Ryan calls all the offensive plays too. Uh, it's unacceptable when it's the team up north. I mean, that's the way it works in Columbus. But you got to look at a guy that's won 85%, is 80% of his games, and you've got to give Coach Knowles an opportunity to bring his own recruits in, his own system in, and get it going on that behalf. Yeah, I'm an avid Ohio State fan, of course, but I can't sit here and downgrade the coaching staff and say just because we've got beat by Michigan back to back, we're still sitting there for a pretty good bowl game, maybe an opportunity to play in the Final Four. We don't know that yet, but I thought they still have a great season, and it might hurt recruiting a little bit, as they say, but I don't think so. I think these teams are just going to keep on with their power-rated teams. They're going to keep on going with the recruit system, and I think Ohio State will be fine.
Yeah, 45-5. Record.
That's a pretty good record for any coach.
Also, Harbaugh's 2-6 against Ohio State, and now he's a savior. So it goes in cycles.
It does. It really does. And they don't want to lose that game. I get that, but it's just a football game when it comes down to the end of it. I mean, there's more to it in life.
In your opinion, does Ohio State belong in the college football playoff?
It depends on the pan.
It's not what he said before the show, is it, Merle? He said, no, absolutely not.
Well, no, I don't think. Well, I agree.
If USC gets beat again, loses to a 3-loss team twice, I don't think. And everybody now
it's kind of hard. Are we going to be affected by this next system? How many? What is it going to be? 12?
You know what would solve this problem?
12 games, 12 teams.
12 teams.
Yeah, because you throw away this one loss and not making it in there, and these teams you have to have 2 losses, 3 you're out. I get that.
Well, if people want to. Right, I agree.
We're a few games.
And everybody's saying now that a team shouldn't jump over a team that's not playing well. I mean, that's how it's set up. I mean, you get to the conference championship. If you don't want to do that, don't have a conference championship.
Well, if people want to complain about how many games are going to be played, take a game out of the regular season, or get rid of conference championships. How about that?
They're getting paid. What's it matter now? Like they're missing class. Some of them are making. I mean,
well, then
if
you had
they're saying the guy from North Carolina could get $10 million if he wanted it, the quarterback.
Yeah.
What's the guy from USC making? Yeah. $5 million, $3 million, $8 million.
Oh, every bit. I wonder what
Young, what's he making?
Probably the highest paid quarterback in college football.
Well, that was a rumor out of Tennessee. Was before the South Carolina game that Hooker got the big dealership Mercedes NIL, and the defensive guy took a cheap shot at him, and the offense and defense were mad at each other when they went to South Carolina.
Yeah, and he got destroyed that game for that.
Speaking of South Carolina, boys, wow. Talk about a hot team. That loss to South Carolina doesn't look too bad now, does it?
No.
Beat 2 orange teams in a row that nobody really likes.
And they also, in the midst of their streak, they got destroyed by Missouri. So how do you?
Well, I'll say this:
And
I'm
the
not
Heisman's thrown
a.
up. I mean, the Heisman Trophy this year, it's thrown up.
I'm not a big fan of their coach. I think he's a little too much of a showboat. It is what it is. Him and his sunglasses, it is what it is. He makes it work, so what am I? So, but going back to what we were saying, of course, Trinity won. The 6A is not going to have Trinity or St. X in it this year.
For the first time.
Did you see how the Mayo game ended?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Mayo was driving. Got it inside the 5.
They fumbled, didn't they?
And they got it to the 1. They didn't change the down marker, so they thought it was 4th. Ran a play like it was 4th, but it was first down. Ballard stopped them with 19 seconds. Ballard has it at the 1. All they got to do is lay on the ball or take a safety, and they fumble, and Mayo picked it up and ran it in. You ever see the movie All the Right Moves?
That goes on coaching, man. How could you not know? Oh, well.
Well, all Ballard's got to do is take a safety.
Yep, and then win the game.
Well, not necessarily win the game. It'd been very likely they could return the punt, safety. You never know.
That's tough.
We've seen
24
crazier
to 20
things.
with 19 seconds. They had it won, and the guy took the snap and kind of laid down, and instead of the ball just laying there, it squirted out. The guy picked it up at the 4-yard line and ran it in.
And
Look
then
it up. It's the most unreal ending you ever believe.
So-
No way Male should have won.
And
No
Bullet
way.
East, who's Bullet East is going to play them, right?
Yeah.
Bullet East has been solid all year.
Went solid all year. That's what I got to.
And then the 5A state championship, of course,
Frederick.
you got Frederick Douglass in there, who's the heavy favorite coming in.
Bowling Green, yeah.
Bowling Green's kind of, they're not the traditional purples team. They're still there, though. They're good. 4A's got Corbin and Boyle County.
You know who used to coach Corbin, don't you?
Yep.
Boyle County's coach.
Yep.
The thing about Corbin is, and I know a lot of the older Russell Red Devils remember this, I was actually on a team that beat Corbin at Russell. Corbin's always been really, really good.
Corbin's been good.
A lot of people don't know this, but the last time Corbin and Russell played, we beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Remember that, Merle?
And Boyle's coach was the quarterback that beat Russell at Breathitt County, Justin Haddix.
Great football pedigree, no matter what way you look at it. And 3A, you got Cal and Bardstown. Both teams come in completely undefeated. Let me tell you something, guys. I've got to come to terms here. I was wrong about Mason County for a little bit. I kind of thought that they were, but when you look at their record, they had, what were they, 13-0 when we broke them down. 7 of those wins came on, or 6 or 7 of those wins came against teams with losing records. And then you talk about 3 of their other wins, Greenup twice and East Carter, which I'm not saying they're bad teams, but those are not state championship quality football teams.
No.
Mason County went to Bardstown boys and could have won that game.
Their athleticism was what made them what they were.
Yeah, I'm still so proud.
I think even against like Greenup, they just threw some jump balls up, and the Henry kid and the Walton kid, who are both good basketball players, made big plays.
Still so proud of what Greenup did this year, man.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job.
You got to think, a year ago they didn't even win really a game. They had a COVID win. Look what they did. That's what happens when hard work. I got behind that team, and I kind of wanted to give them that build up that they, most of those kids since they've been in high school have never had that. They want that build up. These kids get on social media, they see what we're saying, and all they saw was a couple of the media members from Mason County putting my stuff on there. We made a prediction. Whoa, Lordy, we went against Mason County. Put it on there. I mean, how old are you, man? Either way.
But Greenup, that group, that sophomore group, and that junior group had a lot of success in the middle school, and that's where it all started.
Well, I can tell you right now, Greenup County loses a ton, Merle. They lose. I think they had 17 seniors that started. I mean, they lose a ton. They'll be great. They got good coaching. That's the key. They got good coaching. They'll be fine.
While we're talking about Greenup County, I also want to put prayers to Coach Jones. Jeremy's dad.
Travis's dad.
Travis's dad. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Travis's dad. And Mike out there. Mike had a severe stroke here about a week ago, and we're praying that he gets well. If anybody knows Mike Jones, you're going to know he's not going to quit.
He's doing a lot better, Coach.
And he's doing a lot better, and he's a fighter all the way through, and we're all out there for him. I coached with Mike for 16 years and learned a lot from him. He's one of those mentors that you've had in life. And
let me tell you a story about Mike. He was Coach Jones. He was our PE teacher in middle school. And he used to put on these little tournaments, and we always used to compete in. He had his own game called Devil Ball. Do you remember Devil Ball, Merle? He had Devil Ball. We had volleyball tournaments. He'd set up 2 volleyball. So he would split the teams up evenly. And it was me and 2 other girls there in middle school. It was a three-person team. And during the tournament, Coach Jones would say, whoever wins gets a real good prize. Whoever wins gets a real good prize. So, we won, and I was like, heck yeah, we get a real good prize. What was that? He took us in there and gave us some animal crackers and a Capri Sun. So that was our real good prize that we got.
That's all right.
Didn't want to spoil you.
Yeah, so.
But I wanted to put that in there tonight,
When I was pulling guard for Russell, it was, I think we were doing 2-a-days, which, you know how 2-a-days are at any school around here. They're rough. Well, they coaches, we didn't have a scout team that was able to really brace the hits, so they brought the yellow bags out. And I was going half speed, and they started ripping into me. I started going full speed. I put a coach on his rear end one time. Here comes Bob McGlone. You know how Ivan used to wear that big straw hat, and he would walk around the football field just observing, wouldn't say much. He would just watch. He come over, stood next to Coach Jones, and Coach Jones looked at him and said, "Spencer's had half a good practice, Coach." So you know what? The next game, I only played one half. That's the truth. That's the truth. So that was
It
great
changed a
times.
little bit from my era to his era. I had
Great
Ivan
times.
McGlone that had the Don Johnson shoes and the tab. You know how he held that tab a certain way.
Did they have face masks then?
Partially.
Anyways, guys, we had some basketball last night. Of course, it was muted at the beginning.
Double A and single A. You trying to skip on the Rams?
Skipping on
I'm not picking them yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to talk a little bit about basketball first. I went to opening night there at East Carter last night, guys. I'll tell you something. Cole Bramer's got a team out there, boys. The strength of them, though, they've got some guys that can make some big-time shots. They're good offensive rebounding. Blake Hall's an animal. That guy doesn't quit the whole time. He doesn't run out of energy. He just gets stronger and stronger throughout the game. It's weird. The team they played really, no knock on Rose Hill, you really couldn't tell what either one's had. Because it was just so mismatched.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes you'll get those. It's not taking away anything from Rose Hill. They're extremely young. You got a lot of guys on the floor that don't have a lot of experience at basketball, but they will. They'll be fine. Speaking of East Carter, on Saturday, the EKC Conference Tournament. The Eastern Kentucky Conference Tournament starts at East Carter. I believe the other one's at Russell. At Russell Rowan.
Russell Round girls will be a dynamite game. Right?
Yeah, and
Round
then
lost to Clark County girls by 4, and Clark County's really good.
At East, I'm not sure who the East Carter girls play, but the boys play Bath County. I'm not sure who the East girls.
It'll be doubleheader.
Doubleheader. So
Yeah,
you've got
down to 6 teams. It's East and Bath, and then
winner will
Round
play
and
Lewis
Russell.
County, and the semifinals and finals will be at West Carter.
Yeah, West Carter.
So that's a heck of a tournament. Speaking of a heck of a tournaments, look at what Boyd County released today. Did you see the field coming in on December 10th out at Boyd County?
No, not yet.
Dixie Heights, George Rogers Clark, Ashland, Russell, Raceland, Boyd County. They got a couple other teams coming in there. I can't remember the whole field right off the top of my head. They just announced it, probably 4 hours ago. That might be a
Maybe
more
they'll put
impressive field than the
Ashland and
AIT
Raceland
this
in it,
year.
since they're not on the regular season.
Ashland Raceland play regular season.
I didn't think it went on the
Yeah.
schedule the other day.
Yeah, Raceland picked them up first time I played them in years.
Okay.
Ashland Russell's not playing.
Yeah. Anyways,
Ashland girls I had last night, they're very athletic.
did you expect anything different from a Stacy team? Stacey Davis will have that team fight, man. I'm telling you, she's going to have them ready to go. Well, Bill Bradley always did.
Yeah.
So
Just a different style. Bill had some size last year and built around, but now they're full court. They had 70 points.
it'll still be the
at the
3 familiar
games.
faces over on the girls' side. It'll be Ashland, Russell, and Boyd.
And Round.
Rowan, yeah, with Ford, yeah.
Haven Ford had 30 against Clark County.
Man,
so
Kelly,
it'll be those 4. And the draw is so important like last year. I know Boyd made a good run, but you had Round, you had Russell, you had Ashland just beating each other to
man,
death.
Kelly's got it
Is the-
going
is
on
the
out there
big squirrel
around,
gonna
man.
play
I'm going to
for
have to get me a Letterman jacket
big
for
squirrel gonna
Round
play for
County.
Or is she not?
Yeah,
gonna play?
big. She'll be back.
She'll be back this year.
Yeah.
won't she?
I'm going to have to get me a Round County Letterman.
Rimmer should be back at Russell. They got
Heard
beat
that.
last night. Fairview got a big win last night over Greenup County.
Trey Trox, you can come on the show anytime you want to, buddy. You're always welcome here, bud.
Clarence Thompson got his first win over at Fairview. At
That's
the
3
Nest.
straight for Fairview over Greenup. Greenup's got a new coach, too, though.
And Carson Wireman didn't play. He's their best player.
You know why Carson Wireman didn't play, don't you? Carson Wireman is probably not only – he's top 2, top 3 best baseball player in the 16th region. He is one of the better players in the area in football.
Right.
And then he transitions to basketball, who, guys, he's an all-area player in basketball. Sprained his ankle meeting the Musketeers. That's terrible, isn't it? I mean, can't catch a break,
And
man.
they've got a kid that's waiting to get eligible, too, that transferred from Raceland, Perkins, but I don't know
Yeah.
his status.
Did you see how tall
Can't get
Joe's
that.
team was in the preview for Raceland?
Yeah. But
The Goss kid's ready to – I'm telling you, he's going to throw down a couple this year.
But Connor Sutton's out for the year. He got hurt again.
Really?
6'6" kid, yeah.
Wow.
They've got a
Oh.
couple of 8th grade players that you better keep an eye on, too, Arnett and Waller.
Arnett's starting. That's what I was told. That's
And
good.
Russell had an 8th grader play last night, Neil, and then
Neil's
7th
really
grader,
good.
Ryder Burgess had 16 in the JV game. 7th
Burgess
grader.
is going to be a special talent.
Yeah.
He's really toughened up here lately. Burgess is going to be.
Yeah.
You keep those boys together. You keep Rimmer, Burgess, and now the Neal kid. Let me tell you something, boys. You get them going. Russell might be one of them teams that Ashland had a couple years ago, or even last year.
I think Ashland goes to Great Crossing Saturday, and Great Crossing's really good.
I like when people say that Great Crossing has a rich tradition of excellence. Y'all been in school since like 2017, haven't they?
Not even that. I don't think they're that long.
How long have they been in school for?
They're a lot better than Scott County now, though.
2018?
But it didn't take them long to get the athletic program on the tracks and rolling, did it?
No.
Boyd County plays at Round tomorrow night. Be a good boys game.
Boyd County. Give me Boyd.
Yeah.
Too much shooting. Too much guard play.
Yeah.
Anyways, yep, you said it earlier. There's football games. Friday and Saturday, guys. Very first game of the day on Friday. Pikeville and Raceland.
Yep.
And, you know, I know that, Mark, you're in there, and I know, Merle, you're in there. I posted something. I wanted predictions, and when I do stuff like that, it's not because I'm based my prediction off of it. I really want to know what people think. You know, I'm nosy. I just want to see what people think. Pikeville, from what I get from the Pikeville crowd, this is not going to be a football game. This is going to be a running clock. It's not going to be close. Raceland's not any good. They can't match up with us, you know. And then for Raceland, you know, they kind of play defense in the post a little bit. Hey, you guys haven't seen us play this year. You know, ask Paintsville about us. You know, we're pretty good also because, you know,
I'd say they're basing that off, you know, when they went down to state, and Beechwood was not competitive. And really, I was at the Raceland Pikeville game last year. It really wasn't competitive, but you thought that Raceland had more coming back, but it's just like Pikeville's reloaded.
Yeah.
You know, they lost some really good players last year, and you thought, well, Raceland will have the upper hand, but it seems like Pikeville's reloaded. It's going to be a good ball game. I think it's going to come down.
Don't pick it yet. We're just
I
getting
know,
our
but I
keys
think
right
it's
now.
going to come down to. I think Raceland's defense can hold up. It's just can they?
This is going to be a
create
good football
enough
game, man.
offense?
They ain't going to put a running clock on them. That's just not going to happen. I like the optimism from Pikeville. And listen, nothing taken away from Pikeville. I think Pikeville or Raceland, either one, could win 2A and 3A. I think they're that good. Maybe not 3A. I think Cal's probably a top 5 team in the state.
Yes.
But I think they would win 2A, both of them. Don't you think?
Who's in the 2A? Beechwood.
Mayfield and Beechwood.
That's still 2 powerhouse programs right there. Beechwood's pretty good.
I think Pikeville would beat them both, and I think Raceland would too.
Last I heard, Pikeville might still be staying to single A.
Single A, yeah.
How can they? Anyway, that's a topic
January
for
18th topic.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That will start some fires, boys. We're going to make our picks when we come back. You're watching Sports Central on the Eastern Kentucky Athletics and Media Network.
Hey, I'm Erin.
And I'm Michael. Come see us at Bowman's.
this is Greg Gibson with Greg Gibson Insurance. Just a quick question for you. Do you just buy insurance or do you hire an insurance agent? At Greg Gibson Insurance, you hire me. When you have a problem, you call me. When you got an issue, you call me. We fight for you. We try to help you. We give you the best coverage at the best price we possibly can do. But the most important thing is you're not just buying insurance, you're hiring Greg Gibson. It's Greg Gibson with Greg Gibson Insurance. Here to help you make the right call. Call us today, 606-585-0153.
Gillum Drug, 1237 Carter Avenue, Ashland, is a locally owned pharmacy devoted to providing excellent customer service, not found at the chain drug stores, and Gillum Drug will treat you like family. Stop by today and experience it. Gillum Drug, next to Domino's. When you shop Grayson Sporting Goods, you're supporting a great family-owned business with new owners and team sales. To celebrate, get all your high school gear, including high school spirit wear. Grayson Sporting Goods also does embroidery and vinyl transfers. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and Saturday, 10 to 3. Check with Grayson Sporting Goods for extended seasonal hours.
We are back and we're just going to make some picks. Guys, I kind of debated on this all week. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who I'm still going to go with right now. I mean, it's that close. The keys for Raceland are they have to establish a run game. Okay, because if it comes down to Lundy just throwing the ball down the field and quarterback reads and draws, I think the advantage goes to Pikeville. On the other side, Pikeville's got to be able to, beat Pikeville. Because Raceland's going to come in with a top 10 defense in the state against the rush. And Pikeville's made their living off running the ball. And guess what? Pikeville, one of their best linemen's out, I believe. Or he got dinged up against Newport Cath, their center. And the guy's a stud, big horse. Guy's good. And I think one thing about your center is that's kind of your quarterback or your offensive line. So
can't get the ball, the quarterback can't start the game. That's how easy as that.
Well, like I said, I flip-flopped on this game all week. I think the advantage goes to Raceland quarterback play. No matter, I just think that Lundy is top-tier quarterback. I think no matter what, when they start the game Friday at Kroger Field, Raceland will have the best quarterback on the field. And, that's no knock to Pikeville. Logan Lundy's great. He's great. I just think that the experience is going – when you have two teams that are this close – and I've seen some score predictions. I could be wrong. I would be shocked to see a running clock. I just cannot imagine that. I just don't see it. That just is very ridiculous to me. That could happen. I'm not saying it can't happen, but that I would be shocked to see that happen. I think that when you have two teams this close, I think it comes down to experience. Pikeville was in the state title last year, and I think that gives them a little bit of an advantage. And for that reason, I'm going to take Pikeville.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down. Like I think they're going to have to score some points. Raceland is. In the last, the Hazard game, they kind of struggled to do that. You don't like to compare scores, but I think it's important for Raceland to maybe get a lead. If they could get a lead, would be huge.
Think confidence.
Right. I had to take Pikeville, but like I say, if Raceland can get a lead, get a little confidence.
Let me tell you something. This is not. If Raceland were to win, it would not surprise me at all. No. And I think it would surprise a lot of people. I don't understand why. Do you think Raceland's not that good? I mean, I think Raceland's pretty good, man. I think this is the best Raceland team they've ever had. How about that? And they've had some good ones. Overall, this is the best Raceland team they've ever had.
I kind of agree with Coach here on this because, you know, you're going to give the ball to a great – and they not only won it last year, but they've been in it, 3 or 4 times in the last 5 years?
Talking
6
about
years?
Pikeville.
Pikeville has.
Yeah.
And, you know, they established by the run.
Yep.
And they, you know, and they can throw the ball too, but it's the run. And they don't have a bad defense either. But the big thing is, can Raceland use their athletics that they have on the special teams? Maybe get a touchdown off a special team, get something started, get ahead. They have to establish a running game by far against the team. And that's what it's going to be tough. You know, they're pretty stout up there at Pikeville up front. And just like you say, they got rid of a lot of people, but they reloaded. But this is a great Raceland team. Don't look, you know, it can go either way.
Let me tell you something that helps Raceland a lot, especially in the scheme they run, is Pikeville runs a 3-3-5 a lot. Okay, and if you're a football guy, you know what a 3-3-5 is. 5 defensive backs, 3 linebackers, 3 down linemen. When you run a 3-3-5, it's usually either you trust your front 6 really, really well. You got a great front 6, 3 backers in the back who are headhunters and linemen up front who don't move. Or you're just used to playing a lot of teams that pass all the time. So, and, you know, of course, that's a nickel, 3-3-5. But
big part of the Raceland scheme is their screen game.
Their screen game.
They are. And I don't know if that's going to be real effective towards Pikeville because Pikeville's really good on the edges.
They're good on the edges, good at linebackers. They got 2 nice linebackers.
If Raceland's able to run the ball successfully, I like their chances. Yeah. That's the key right there.
That opens up a lot.
If you go at the end of this game, I promise you, if you go and see the stats without knowing the score, and Logan Lundy's thrown the ball under 10 times, Raceland will be your state champ. Yeah. Wait and see. If he's under, and I'm not saying that he has to throw it under 10, but if he has less than 10 attempts throwing the football, Raceland is your state champ in 1A. But I think the experience when it comes to these type of games, and you know, the Pikeville kids have been there. Yeah. They know what to expect. They go through these motions. They know, you know, kind of like you can just imagine a little bit. They know exactly how long the bus ride is to Lexington. They've already been there once this year. Basically, they played Madison Central. Wasn't that game in?
I think Raceland, the last time I think they went down game day, I think they might stay this week.
The game's at noon on Friday.
This week.
I think they drove last time, and I think they'll stay this week.
I know when I was at John Central, we stayed almost every time. But, you know, when you think about it, you know, it got easier. Even though there's times we didn't win, but we was in some great games, the attitude of your players. And sometimes it can hurt you. Now, here's again. In 2016, we won it. 2017, we went out there. We laid an egg up at John Central. We were by far better than Franklin Simpson, by far. But we laid an egg because we thought when we walked out in that field, I could tell by the way our players' reactions and stuff. And I'm not saying Pikeville's going to do this, but that's the thing I got to give over to Raceland. You know, even though you're coming in, you got nothing to lose. You've not been there a while. You're playing a team that has. I'm going to have my guys looking up at a different direction because by far they're just as athletic and as gifted as Pikeville by all means.
I agree with the athletic and gifted and talented part, but I disagree with nothing to lose. I feel like that for people, and I know this don't mean a whole lot, especially the people around Raceland, but for people to really consider Raceland a powerhouse program, they've got to get over that hump. They have to put a state championship team together. I feel like that has to be it. Now, for us three, we know their program. Yeah. We know their tradition. Yeah. We know that. But I think that they're really going to have to put that patch on the side of those Letterman jackets.
It was the same way, Spence and Coach, when I was at John Central. When I first started there, we were in with the Covington Catholics and the Fort Thomas Highlands. And we could never get over the Fort Thomas Highlands.
Well, nobody did that.
You got to that mountaintop, back down you went. And once we finally got over that mountaintop, we started making appearances in the state championship. And it does.
And that's what happened to Raceland forever. They had some great teams in the 80s and 90s, and they ran into Northern Kentucky.
Talk about 08 Raceland, 06 Raceland.
Bellevue, Beechwood, Bellevue. I mean, that's
Newcath.
Yeah. Well, first two to come to mind off my, I know that they had a state appearance earlier in the late 2000s there, but you got to think the 06 team was really good. 08 team lost to Lexington Christian in overtime, or I think they had to lead by 2 touchdowns late against Lexington Christian. To me, the 08 team will always be 1 or 2. Now, I do think this year's team's better, but 08 team was special, man.
Boyles.
Oh, that team was, and their offensive line was, I tell you what, guys, I started 20-some straight football games at Russell. That's the best offensive line I ever went against. They had no weaknesses. They were great. Anyways,
Yeah, well, it was a great game though, wasn't it? At Russell that year.
we had them beat. Boyles saved them. I can tell you that right now. We had them beaten. Russell, we weren't. My junior year we were pretty good.
Yeah.
My junior year we were really good. But I was playing nose, so I got Robbie Logan and a couple of those big hosses tangoing down on me. I had no chance. I had no chance. But I was just hoping our luck.
Kind of like you against Mason County fans a couple of weeks ago.
You know what? You know what though? They did me a favor. Free publicity.
Yep.
That's what Raceland's going to have to do. I want to see what Raceland's front offensive line is going to do against Pikesville's front defense. I always told you guys, I'm betting not because I'm a defensive coach, but state championships are won on the defensive fronts. Even though I was a linebacker coach,
If Birchfield,
before, but it's won on the front, right there in the front.
if Birchfield has his way, it'll be a long day for Raceland. And Birchfield is special talent, guys. He's kind of like the Isaac Dixon down there this year.
Yeah, he was special last year.
Oh yeah. You know what surprised me about 1A a little bit this year? How bad Russellville was. They were playing the state title last year against Pikeville. Had them
There was
beat.
really only 2 teams, weren't there?
Yeah.
I mean, Hazard put up a good fight against
Yeah.
Raceland. They had it down to the
Well, you know,
last
Hazard
possession.
does that, man. Hazard
Yeah.
does that, and I don't put a whole lot of
They had a
stock in
good
that
team.
Hazard game.
That was a better Hazard team.
Well, I don't
They
put
got
any
a
stock
pretty
in that game because, every team kind of has that game. And I'm not taking anything away from them being great, but, sometimes you don't survive those games. Like St. X didn't survive that game this year. They were way better than the team that beat them, but they had one of those games. It's kind of like the enthusiasm's not there, the energy's not there. You feel like you should win, you're better, but you don't make the plays and you let this team stick around long enough and they sneak up and they get you. Raceland kind of had one. I'm not taking anything away from Hazard, but Raceland's way better than them. Sorry, but they are. They just are. And I think Raceland kind of had one of those games, and credit to Coach Sammons. He basically told them, like, hey, guys, you're going to have to get this couple of yards here or we're done.
Yeah.
How much do you want it? And Raceland rose to the occasion, and they got past that game. It's kind of, you have those. Kentucky's notorious for playing down competition. Speaking of that, Merle was talking about during commercial break, we got to talk about UK basketball. I didn't watch the game last night, Merle.
I didn't either. I was covering Ashland Group.
I was at East Carter, but I did hear a halftime 21-21.
Yeah.
Boys, listen, Kentucky's terrible. For what we thought we were going to have coming into this year, they're terrible. They have no identity offensively, none. And when they feel like, I tell you what, if they didn't have Sheway, they'd be in bad. I mean, they wouldn't make the tournament this year.
I think Cal's struggling with his rotations because he's got 3 good shooters.
I think he's
got
struggling with
Wallace,
more.
Frederick, and Reeves, and you don't need to play them 30 minutes together, but he's playing them like 2-3 minutes together.
What have we played, Merle?
Play them about 15 minutes
Well, we
together.
played 6 games so far basketball. Coach Cal's gotten out coached twice so far. And they just, when we played up there in Washington, they were not ready to play. They looked terrible most of the game. I know they cut it to 5 there in the second half, but I think, that was kind of Gonzaga catching
Maybe
their
they'll
breath.
find their way over in London this
Well,
weekend.
maybe they need to do
play
that.
Michigan.
Yeah, well, Kentucky's going to have to put a significant non-conference win on their schedule.
We'll kill Louisville.
That's not a significant.
They're 0-7.
Did you see? I seen a stat today. Louisville, I think it's them and Cal Golden Bears are the only 2 major programs still 0-7 in Power 5 to start 0-7 since 1950. Is that something? It's something like that. They're historically bad.
Well, the Tar Heels lost 2 games back to back.
Yeah, but I don't think they're. Listen, I don't think anybody's real good. And I know Houston's ranked number 1. I don't think they're real good either.
Purdue's playing really well, but they always play well in December.
Well, it's completely open because
Yeah,
you see the Blue
yeah.
Bloods are not there right now. Your typical Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA. Those guys are not the powerhouses in this year. It's open.
I think
But I
they
tell you
always
what,
start
guys, I
basketball
really
too well.
haven't transitioned from college football to college basketball.
Right.
Yet. I'm still, I'm when I get on ESPN.com, I'm not checking what the college basketball schedule looks like. Who plays in the conference championship game? Saturday football. That's what I'm looking
What
at.
bowl is Kentucky going to go to?
Probably the Music City.
I saw the Music City or the Liberty.
I'd rather play Music City.
Might be come down to Mitch Barnhart because it's the exact same time as when they play Louisville, I think, in basketball.
They get what they deserve. How about that?
Right.
You lose to Vanderbilt, you can't pick and choose where you're going. Not saying
I
Vanderbilt's bad.
also
but
heard that they didn't. If they put Iowa, if Big Ten puts Iowa at Music City, they don't want to play Iowa again. Didn't we play them last year?
Yeah. Citrus Bowl. Yeah.
Who will they
Well, I'd play Iowa. They can't score either. That'd be a good game. I think that nobody wants to watch it.
At
Who will they be playing in the other one?
Liberty, I saw Oklahoma State.
Is it Oklahoma State?
We'll take Oklahoma State. They can't
I saw
score either.
one that had
That
us
ain't even
playing
football.
Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl.
That's not even a football team.
I
Sorry.
saw
Oklahoma State's been really bad lately, man.
Yeah.
I saw one that had Kentucky and Notre Dame in the Outback Bowl down there, whatever it's called now. But I think that's far fetched
Kentucky didn't have a good enough year to be in the
because
Alabama.
I think Mississippi State's going to be in there.
Especially with their win over Ole Miss. They have to be, don't they? You can't lose to South Carolina and Vanderbilt and
I
start
know.
thinking about good bowls.
2 penalties from 9-3.
Yeah. Either way. In 2A, Beechwood and Mayfield play. Both teams come in undefeated. Mayfield hadn't been to the state title in, 3 or 4 years probably. 4 or 5 years. Beechwood, they have they should just rent a house there for the whole team. That way they don't have to worry about hotel reservations or nothing. They just know that they're going to be there, and they've got a place they can stay.
Yeah.
Beechwood.
I think Beechwood and Mayfield, I read, have been at one of them's been in the state finals the last 12 years.
Well, Beechwood's probably been in 10 of them.
They're tough.
You know, they went from 1A to 2A, and everybody said, well, it's different competition.
Yeah.
It was just bad news for everybody in 2A. is
Toughest
what it
game they
was.
probably had, West Carter.
Yeah.
West Carter had him beat. Daniel had him beat out there. Oh, well. Let me tell you something, boys. That team was special. Either way, Beechwood, too much.
Sure.
In 3A, Cal's going to take on Bardstown. Both teams undefeated. Cal, of course, they knocked out Ashland. And and there ain't nothing. Nobody can dog Ashland for that. Cal would probably beat anybody. And I include Raceland and Pikeville in there, too.
This is a good football team.
That team right there, boys, Ashland around here makes teams look really bad when they try to tackle them in open field. Cal was different level football.
This might be a running clock.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
It could.
It's the only
It
one
could.
I looked at in this whole.
Yeah, I agree.
That could possibly be a running
I agree. Cal, too much.
Yeah.
Big.
Big.
Cal. At 4A, who's Corbin play? Boyle County.
Boyle County.
That one right there, boys, that is a barn burner right there. Of course,
This comes to Corbin's end. I'm sorry, but
He's saying that 'cause
this is the defending state champion. They're going to be there every year. They just reload. Boyle County maybe lost a couple of games this year, but look who they lost to. Too much for Corbin.
not so fast.
I saw Boyle play. I got to see him in person.
Too much.
I think Quisenberry's
Too
he's
much.
a difference maker.
He's too much.
I think they got a UK signee too, and right now their backup quarterback's playing, and he's playing great. I'll go Boyle too.
Give me the Red Hounds.
Ooh.
Give me Corbin.
All
Have
right.
you ever seen Corbin's fans travel?
Yeah, they've traveled.
Some of the best traveling fans in the entire state. Let me tell you something. Freddie Maggard put on Twitter something the other day that was really interesting. You know, they go each week they go to a different location, KSR, high school game of the week, whatever. He said Corbin is the hostilest environment he's ever been to, the loudest
yeah, but
crowd.
will you even be able to hear fans at Kroger Field?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't.
If you could hear them,
I'm going to tell you from first-hand example.
if you can hear them when they were
don't.
playing Vanderbilt,
I've
you can hear
I've
them.
had the one set and two set headphones on, and you really don't.
There'll
I mean,
only be
you re-
5,000 mics
I turned around
What are you
and
talking
looked
about?
in 20
at the championship game
What are you talking about?
this weekend.
in Kroger Field. I've turned around when I was at John Central several times, and we bring a big crowd. I turned around in 2020 in Ashland. We brought a big crowd, and you don't hear them. You really coaching down there. You don't hear them.
Yeah, but you're hard of hearing anyways.
But I was like, I'm not knocking the fans. 'Cause
But you know why? Realistically, probably because you're zoned.
you're zone, you are.
Yeah.
As a player and a coach, I'm not saying all players, but as a player and coach, people don't realize if it didn't want for the TV timeouts,
Yeah,
these games fly.
yeah.
If there's no penalties called, woo, you're through this game so quick, it's like it started and it's over that quick.
And you probably in the state finals, the refs try not to be the.
In 5A, who does Frederick Douglass play in 5A?
Bowling Green.
Bowling Green, the Purples. Now, I actually got to see them and Lexington Catholic play in a state title game right before mine one year. Boys, that Lexington Catholic team that year was unbelievable. But anyways, Bowling Green's powerhouse 5A.
They're a powerhouse.
Powerhouse. But I think
Too much.
Frederick
Way too
Douglass
much.
gets their first football state championship, guys. McPeak and Frederick Douglass, too much.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got he's a senior-dominated team this year.
JV's undefeated, though.
Yeah, but he's still got a lot of seniors. And and I tell you what, they look like a small college. I mean, really, they're phenomenal.
Well, they should. They got a small college facility.
Yeah.
Have you seen their weight room?
Beautiful.
Have you seen their football field?
Who
They
beat
got
'em-
better facilities
who
than
beat 'em last
KCU.
year when they had Dane Key?
Huh?
Who beat them last year when they had Dane
Was it
Key?
Owensboro? Was it Owensboro?
I think so. But this is his.
Owensboro almost got him again, man. Owensboro's.
This is Nathan's, Coach McPeak's. This is his year, his team, his kids. You know, he's building a program there that the kids believe in.
He's not building it; it's built. He's just thriving in it now.
I'm just telling you, they believe in his system. They believe in him. This team looks good.
Yeah.
This team looks
I was actually, Merle, you probably would find this interesting. You know what scores I was watching throughout the playoffs was Owensboro Catholic. A lot of people don't know about Owensboro Catholic. That just tells you how good of football players come out of that Owensboro area, because Owensboro Catholic, back in, I think, 03, 04, and 05, made 3 straight state championship appearances. Lost to Belfry twice and lost to us in the state title game at Papa John's Cardinal Stadium. But there for a while, guys, Owensboro Catholic was bad. I mean, they really just were real bad. And I believe in 2006 they lost to Mercer County before they got to us there in the state championship game. Still to this day, the best high school football team I've ever seen.
Merger County.
Was that, in your opinion, are they the top 5 best high school football teams you've ever seen?
If they were top 5, you guys are top 5 because you had the game won.
They had it was
They
about
had-
35 mile an hour winds, and you couldn't.
And
kick.
you had a phantom touchdown.
cold out there.
They didn't blow the whistle when you all stopped them.
He fumbled the ball and picked it up, and he was on the ground and just put it over the goal line and called it a touchdown.
And plus they let the play go after it was stopped.
There's no way that I know what you're talking about because it happened right in front of us.
It was National Football League
Yeah.
rules. That's always way.
The quarterback went under center. It's 4th and goal, coach. This is what happened. I know there's tape of it on YouTube. It was 4th and goal. They got under center. The center and quarterback snap went wrong, okay? It hit his hands, fell on the ground, and there's a big scuffle for it. They blow the whistle. Quarterback gets the ball, lays over to the goal line, and lays in the end zone and calls a touchdown. He stopped short. That wins them the game.
They
Plus,
didn't
we
know
missed a
it's
field
real
goal
life.
that game.
No
That
one-
was probably the windiest game.
Yeah.
I had Carson was 5 or 6 years old, and we went down on the field, and it about blew him away. I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
I'm
I was
not.
there.
I'm not.
Hey,
I was sitting there
And
saying-
luckily, somebody had a suite
On the
or
day before,
Carson and I
Coach,
would have never made it.
On the day before, Coach, we got to our hotel, and it was 58 degrees. The next day, the high was about 21. I mean, it was
You do
cold.
know, Coach. You know, we're Russell guys. I did play in the coldest high school football game recorded in Kentucky history.
What was it, Belfry,
Fort
in
Thomas
2009? It was 9,
Fort
wasn't
Thomas and Russell.
What was
But
the-
I was
what
at
was
the
the
game,
temperature?
I was at the game sitting with Coach Grady Walters, Coach Bill Valance, and I think even Coach Jerry Clybert was there that day, sitting with us up there when you played.
it? If you go back and look at the records,
It was windy, cold, and
go
It was
look at
so windy.
go look at the 06 Mercer County team on the state side.
I was at that
They didn't. They scored an average of. They beat everybody by at least 30, and still to this day, they hold the single season rushing record out of all teams in all classes. They had 3 guys over
Shouldn't
1,000
have been
yards.
a team. They shouldn't have.
They were an all-star squad, the
shouldn't have
Mon
allowed-
squad,
They shouldn't have allowed that.
that
and
was
we held them.
that was
What was the score? 15 to 12.
15-12.
15 to 12. So either way, memory lane. Sometimes we've all had our experiences. Of course, Merle coached basketball for many years. You coached football at Ashland, Johnson, Central, and Russell for many years. We all had our taste of success. But it's kind of bittersweet to watch football season come to an end here. Football and basketball season are my 2 favorites, but love football in this area, man. Love it. You can't beat it. And it seems like, Eastern Kentucky doesn't get the credit they should for our talent that we have around here. Most of the media around Lexington or Louisville, it's all about them, which is fine. It can be, but how many years in a row did Eastern Kentucky dominate 3A? How many years in a row did we dominate 1A? Well, look, both our teams are in there right now.
Well, there's more sports writers in Louisville and Lexington.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's not that. I understand that, but it's almost like,
but they do.
oh, that team from out east is coming to play this powerhouse Christian school, and then they lose. You know, Belford goes down there and wins consistently. Ashland's been down there and they've won. Pikeville goes down there and wins. You know, the list goes on. Look at Paintsville a couple of years ago. Raceland's made 2 appearances in the last 7 years. Johnson Central has won what, 3 state championships? 4, 3 or 4 in the last 10 years. So you know, we don't have any 5A schools around. I guess the closest 5A school would be what, Southwestern Pulaski? Is that the closest 5A? Or Montgomery County? So Montgomery
County's gone.
Montgomery County ain't gonna be winning no state football titles for a while.
No.
So, but it's a little bit short of a show. Hope, like I said, for the game, Pikeville and Racel, I hope everybody just stays safe. There's more to life than just a football game, and the sun will rise for the losing team the day after the state title game. And I don't want to see any derogatory comments in the group about who loses. It's just a high school football game. It ain't that serious. People get a little carried away, their emotions.
2 great teams.
I think we saw that on Twitter after the race on the Mason County game.
And even if you win it, like Coach Morris always told me, we won a state championship on Friday or Saturday, and Monday I was doing bus duty.
Yep.
So even if you win
your
it,
job,
you're still coming back
you
to
come back to your same job.
Coach Morris liked doing bus duty. Don't let him. He always sat out there with his walkie-talkie. Don't let him try to fool you. He likes it. I seen him the other day at the cemetery, working over at the cemetery now. He said it's his retirement gig.
Him and John Lynn.
Him and John Lynn working over there. Coach Jim Epley and Melissa and Penny.
Yep.
For Murrow Kidwell, Coach Salyers, Coach Kidwell, and Spencer Hutchinson, this has been a presentation of Sports Central on the Eastern Kentucky Athletic